Alright, time for more Xbox assemblies. I got this freshly cleaned motherboard that needs just a tiny bit of touch-up. I also have all the shell cleaned for it, so it is ready to go. Now, memory serves, if my pile of stuff is to go off of, this one does not have a hard drive. I use the hard drive to fix other consoles. Or to sort of diagnose other consoles at the time, because I got in a few Xboxes that just simply didn't have hard drives. And in order to confirm that they worked, I just had the slot in another hard drive, just to kind of see where it was at in regards to, is there anything wrong with it beyond just it missing a hard drive? Which, other than being like horrendously dirty, a lot of these consoles have been in good shape. Need to do a little bit of hand vacuuming. Chief problem with doing all this by hand is I do miss stuff. I can't be perfect. So let me see what I have on this console. I do have to kind of update my notes. I've been sort of updating. I'm kind of making up a lot of this as I go along. And I mean, I can even bring these notes up real quick. So this is 11-00917 notes. Let me do that. That window capture is wild. All right, be gone, window capture. Let's try this again. Notes. So here are the notes I've been taking for the consoles. Oh, it looks like I did update this one. Okay. Not exactly. I mean, I added in another section where I added the disk drive model and the disk drive serial number, because since these two things are paired together, it is kind of important that these numbers are concise. I am actually going to take the effort to grab that, because I actually don't know where the motherboard, or what the serial number for, where I can even find the serial number for the... Oh, right here. Okay, so there's a sticker right here. Shows the model and the serial number. I'm going to add these real quick to this information, because these are important to have together because they're married. Not so much the disk drive housing, but the little motherboard inside. And I'm wondering if I open it, if there's a different motherboard number. Because there's a disk drive serial number in the model, which I see right here on the outside. But is there an internal number tied directly to the PCB? Is this super overkill to have this type of documentation? Absolutely. Does it satisfy my, like, deep and primitive urge of order? Yes, yes it does. So that is the outside serial number. I'm gonna take it apart and just... Well, I only need to take off the rear panel. And just see if there's a motherboard, or there's a serial number on the motherboard itself. That's the most important number I need to grab. The model number and the model number for the drive, just in case there are outstanding differences between all of the drives, which, in taking apart and cleaning these disk drives, there's nothing as stark a difference as there is with, like, the Nintendo Wii U, which uses some completely different disk drives where the motherboards are just completely incompatible. So there is a tag. So there's an MS number. I might have to reference this with another drive just to see what numbers I need to pull. I could pull that entire string, I suppose. I might only need to pull the first number, the G4C string. You know what? I'm a little curious. This is a bit of a tangent, but this is my first time looking at these numbers, so I'm going to pull apart another disk drive. and just see if these strings are different. Because I don't want to pull one string and then find out that it's the same string. Or it's like an irrelevant string. I'm assuming since it's printed on a barcode, it's not irrelevant. So both strings of numbers are completely different. Okay, I'm gonna pull the. Well, I'll install the full string. Just why not? It really doesn't. It doesn't do me much harm to just type in. What is that, like 20 more characters? I need to be a little careful. I'm gonna leave that disk drive disassembled for the next Xbox I do. So disk drive serial number, disk drive PCB serial number, I suppose. I don't even know if it's a serial number. I don't know what MS means. Identification string, I'll call it. I'm gonna add this to my template document. So I'm just gonna do the MS colon G4C 1200280223 TBS6M 1E C18 dash. Is that a dash or is that like a kind of a fucked up dash? More of a squiggly. 7921V03XD. Alright, so that is the entirety of that string for the PCB. And the story of this console. Let's see. It spat out an error 100, which was an authentication error with the Blu-ray drive. How does it want me to spell Blu-ray? Oh, Blu-ray. Just fix that because the squiggly lines bother me. Oh, come on. There you go. So it spat an E1 error, which was an authentication error with the Blu-ray drive, meaning that the wrong motherboard for the wrong daughter board for the disk drive was in the wrong console because they're married together with like encryption strings. So if I were to slap this disk drive into a random console, it won't boot. It's just gonna say nope. That is an unauthorized drive. And currently there is no way to remarry a drive to a console, so like maybe this disk drive was like heavily water damaged. Someone poured orange juice in it and it just completely destroyed the PCB and everything else with it, but it was all contained within the disk drive. That motherboard would be dead. Or the motherboard for that console would be completely unusable until the ability to remarry drives becomes available, which I think will be a lot sooner than I expect. What happened was I bought these consoles. I think I've probably mentioned this every single time I've worked on this console. I bought these consoles in a pair, and for some reason the original owner decided to swap the disk drives. And just, I mean, I was just making sure this wasn't the one. I think the other one had a bad laser, so that's why the original owner swapped them. It's like, well, I'll just swap in the disk drive that's good out of my console that has a melted top shell and just make a Frankenstein turn two consoles that maybe one doesn't look good, the other one has a bad laser, and just turn them into one working console. Well, swapping the disk drive spat out an E100 error on both consoles, so then they just decided to sell them as a pair. But when I swapped the disk drives back, both consoles worked again. So, curious. And yeah, this is the one where I removed a hard drive. I'll add a 500. So that is everything for those notes. Perfect. So now reassemble everything. All right, I need to grab the... Did I get the motherboard serial number and everything? Yes, I did. Okay. Again, I'm kind of making all this documentation up as I go along. So let me see. I need to grab shell serial 11099. And it's going to be this one because this one has the melted top shell. Now, I don't know exactly what happened to it. Someone must have pressed something hot on it and it actually melted the shell. Like, these are cavities. Like, it's not like a residue or anything. Like, those are actually melted shells. Now, physically, the shell is fine. I mean, it looks like I missed a spot during cleaning, but I just sort of gave this a courtesy dunk in hot water, soapy water, just like courtesy, really. I wasn't really trying to clean this thing super well. What I could probably do is sand the top of this down to like an even texture, because right now there's like raised bumps. The Xbox logos are just covered in just charred, hard plastic. I could probably sand this down to make it look even, but it will never look good. So this is going into sort of my junk pile. The shell I'm replacing it with, though it is a glossy shell that's in awful shape, it is in considerably better shape in comparison. So that will be the change. I'll also be placing a 500 gigabyte WD drive from another console, which means I'll have to run the offline updater again. It's fine, and it's part of the game. So, thinking about my order of operations here, it looks like I'm going to be putting on the thermal paste for the main APU. Grab my little tube that's running low and low. I hopefully have enough to do these couple consoles I'm doing today. I do have some more thermal paste ordered, but I'm running incredibly low. I didn't quite expect to adopt this many Xboxes in such a short time, so it's stressing my otherwise fine thermal paste supply. Ooh, I may not even have enough for the next console. I do have a spare tube that came with my PC cooler, but I don't think it's much. I'm just going to keep that handy. Looking at my fan, it looks like it cleaned up pretty nicely. Again, since I hand cleaned this, it's not going to be perfect, but it's a whole hell of a lot better than what it was. I tell you what. Let's smoosh this on, direction like that. I need to get the X clamp on. I keep forgetting where this X clamp is pointed. I think it's pointed this way. This way. I am going to confirm that. I really don't want to put this X clamp on wrong and then create an issue. figure I should be able to be... I should know this by now. Reassembled like 8 of these consoles by now. Motherboard step. Let's go all the way down. It is pointed towards... the numbers, but why is my heatsink backwards? Shouldn't be. Was this fan put on differently? I did not remove this fan, but the heat pipes are, or maybe just the heat pipe orientation is different on this console than the other. Oh, this might just be a completely different heat pipe. Interesting. I didn't take off the fan, and where the fan connector, or where the fan wires are going to feed into the connector is where I mount the fan. If I have fitment issues, I'll just suspect that. For right now, I'm just going to clamp it on. There we go. Keep that handy too. Plug. Alright, plop it in the metal shielding. Get all the screws in for this. The X-clamp screws and the 4B screws. Ooh, it's a bit teetery right there. Okay, I should have everything right here. I think I have hard drive, front panel, Wi-Fi, hard drive. These must be all of the... Yep, all the screws I need. Okay. So I put in my T10, so I'm putting in the B screws first. The B screws are conveniently labeled B1 through 4. Just doing these 2 that are kind of off screen. As my setup isn't exactly made for consoles this big. Swap to T8s. Yep. And what I think I'm probably going to do is just let the offline updater go in the background. Once I get... I'll get this console completely together, let the offline updater go. It takes kind of a minute to do, so... I have no reason to believe this console doesn't work, that my initial testing was flawed. So once I get it together, I'll just make sure it boots to the error screen and just say, well, that's good enough. I'll start the offline updater and just let it do its own thing. And then come back to it when I do sort of initial rounds of testing and stress testing. Which I kind of have to devise... sort of in the vein of me kind of making this up as I go along. I have stress tests planned. How exactly I'm going to relay that information, I haven't quite figured out, because if stress testings are involving installing games off the disk to confirm the disk drive, and then running thermal tests on games like Madden, or apparently Gears 5 has a pretty good benchmarking tool that I can use. And I mean, hours and hours of footage watching stuff install or just running stress tests isn't all that exciting. It's nothing I want to record or commentate on, so I might just let those run and just sort of provide the results and just say this is what happened. I could do one sort of outline video just sort of saying this is what I've come up with as a stress testing protocol that I'll apply to all these consoles. And then just proceed to do all of that instead of recording it for each individual console, because I don't find that to be all that interesting. I could, maybe when I'm doing my stress tests, I can probably have like my thermal probe on camera and just let it run for like a little bit. I'll think about that. That's definitely worth some amount of thought. Just to show that, yeah, the thing works. It's holding a steady temperature. My Fluke multimeter does have thermal probes. It won't exactly log. I don't think I can log temperature over time, which would be kind of cool just to have thermal curves. See how the sort of the console adapts to thermal changes, and if it ramps up or sort of goes up and down, or kind of you could estimate the fan curve. I'd have to look into it. I would have no way of like, I don't think there's any like memory interface with my Fluke meter that I can even. I think it's just a little too basic for it. It is relative to Fluke meters, it is a very cheap. It's like the cheapest one you can buy, which it perfectly serves my needs. I don't need anything too crazy with Fluke meters, but they can get extremely expensive. But darn, are they nice. You get what you pay for. Yeah, so this 500 was off of another console that was actually in very good shape. I just kind of picked it up from a person selling it alongside an Elite controller. It was like, hey, do you want some Xboxes? It's like, absolutely. Like, here you go. You can have them for very, very cheap. All right. Well, they work fine. They're just dusty. Let me get the little Wi-Fi Bluetooth card plugged in. That's what these screws are for. Looks like I need the tape on the little foam piece. I don't exactly know what it's for. Maybe anti-vibration, I guess. And I'll put these aside. Get the Bluetooth card in and crimp in the little wires. So I took these wires out so I wouldn't send them through wash. I just rinsed off this metal shielding. we go. Bend those little tabs down. Pop the speaker in. Before I get too far ahead, need to put in these. I am short a screw, but I do have plenty of spares. Actually, no, I'm not short a screw. I don't need 3 for the Wi-Fi board itself. I just needed 3 for the little extension. I do need one of those Wi-Fi screws for this little white post. Alright, as customary, I do want to power it on, just to see I didn't make any critical errors. Oh, well, problem. I don't have a front panel. I might as well screw this on while I'm thinking about it. It is also off-screen, but... Oh, right. I needed to put that little foam piece on. So that little foam piece goes right here. I'll just use a little bit of double-sided tape that I have kicking around. Just to stick it back on. Should be more than enough. Where's my edge? Here it is. My big roll of tape has been unraveling. Not very nice. Gonna do 2 layers just to give it a very nice and solid foundation. Then grab the little foam piece, smoosh it on. I'll do it. Okay. And get these screws screwed on. I'll probably put the bottom plastic shell on so that I have something to hold this front panel. Because I can't exactly hold the actual front panel, and I mean this thing, because it's touch sensitive. So either I gotta hold it very carefully or put it on something. Ooh, this little front piece got mooshed. When did that happen? That little That little connector got mooshed. It's not good. Whoa, when did this happen? I mean, it's a very inconsequential connector. It's just an antenna. Wow, that's kind of wild. This isn't the one I repaired. Alright, I need to do some emergency surgery. Now it should be circular enough for me to pop this on, and it might just take the form from there. There we go. Wild. Alright. Wasn't expecting that. And the bottom shell. Looks like it cleaned up very nicely. We are missing 1 foot. I need to mention. I'll have to add that to my notes. Missing foot. And I can probably harvest that off of another console. Alright. Now I can put the front panel on and sort of mount it alongside the... or mount it on this lower casing so I don't have to hold it. There we go. I can actually turn that a little. Now let's try batteries to power turbines to speed. Get my capture card up. That is not my capture card. Power, chimed. It's a fresh cold boot, so it might take a second. Oh, did not power on. There it goes. Yeah, E106. So that's a hard drive error, and I expected that. So again, this is something I'll deal with later. That is a hard drive from a different console, so it is spitting the error I am expecting. So let me put it back completely together, and then I will deal with this later. I'll just let it do the offline uploader. I assume it's fine. If I run into any problems, I'll address them in the future. But for now, let's just get it together. So I have all the stud screws in this little baggie. Which I don't need anymore, so I'll jam the bag in there. They're not sliding in very nicely. Why not? That little foam piece I taped on just too strong. Strange. Everything seemed to slide in okay, though. And I'm missing one. Ah, the humanity. Luckily, I have spares. Actually, I think I stole this hard drive from one that, oh well, too late now. I think this is from a hard drive from another console. Oh well. So I'll just have to offline update that one as well. I mean, these eventually are just all going to be completely wiped, so it's a little irrelevant as to what hard drives and what, as long as at the end of the day they're all prepared correctly. It just means I'll be running one unnecessary round of an offline uploader on a 500 gig. Voila, all of the screws are back in their home. Get the new plastic shell put on. Found that it's a lot easier to do this with the way this front panel is. Then I can clip it on in the back. And then this front panel will just sort of clip in. There's a little bit of the warranty sticker back here that I'm just going to pick off. I mean, if it wasn't too obvious that I broke the warranty sticker by now. I don't know what else will convince you. And there's just the little locking tab that the sync button sort of bounces off of. And the actual side grill. Voila! That will do it. So, can't test it until I do a full system updater, but it is all assembled and ready for that, at least. And I really have no reason to doubt it.